Welcome to the podcast. My name is David Shanhun, and these are the chats I wish I could have had with someone as I've created life as a full-time musician. If you're on that road and you need a friend, or you need to hear the same stories and struggles that you're going through from another human's mouth, you're in the right place. Connect with me at davidshanhun.com and let's move you into that space where you're really thriving and sharing your gifts with the world. Let's go. All right, I have been wanting to record this episode all week, and I'm just getting to it. But this is a brand audit. How it came about was this topic for this week's podcast was really, I actually dived into husband and wife's, are they husband and wife? Anyway, a couple's paid course. And I had a funny moment. I've followed them for a while. It's on marketing, and so it's something that obviously there's a lot of value in the course. I'm getting a lot out of it, but I wanted to walk you through something that I find funny. I think all of us have done at some point, and it's a good way to look back and reflect. But let's just paint the scene. I watched a masterclass that they ran, and one of the things they said is like, hey, the first part of the course we're going to go through this, the second part we're going to go through this, and the last part we're going to talk about who you partner with and connecting with those people. That's the last thing you want to do. You need to get this stuff out of the way, and our whole vibe is centered around getting rid of the ick, the salesy shit and all that stuff, right? That we've all experienced sometime. You know when someone's genuinely trying to help you, and you know when someone's genuinely trying to sell you something. So we're going to do that last week. The partner, who you partner with and work with, that's the last thing. Then as they started the actual course material, so I signed up, they're like, we also want to take away time frames. Don't worry, we're going to work with you on what your result is, what you're after, what you're hoping to get and create from doing this, studying this material. What we want to do though is like, it doesn't really matter if that's your goal, if that's what you want. It doesn't really matter if it takes you 1 month, 10 months, 2 years, 6 years, whatever. We want to get rid of that time pressure. And then maybe their first actual email, apart from course stuff, that gets sent out was, hey, oh my gosh, one-time offer to join us, to partner with us, and get even higher profit or what's it, like commission from selling programs and working with us. And there's a limited time window, it's 14 days. And it's like, fuck, that's yuck as. But I understand it, they've put something in that people are excited about their program, they're jumping in. That is, in sales terms, often that, first maybe 7-day window is the most likely someone is to buy another program, essentially. But I was just like, man, this is so yuck. You've just sold me on your values. I've bought your program. I've started your program which goes through your values, and then you've just ditched your values and what you're teaching because it works to get sales. And I just had to laugh because I was like, man, I sent an email back being like, wow, this is my experience. And they don't have to change anything at all, right? They really don't. It's their program, it's their setup. But it's something that I wanted to chat about in this podcast. And yeah, it feels like we're diving a little bit away from music and things, obviously chatting up to this point. But it's like, it really made me look at as a brand audit for myself. Like, one of the things that as a standard, I'm like, if you book me, everything's just sorted. There's not like extra charges for things, or like, oh, you want this, okay, now actually your package is going to come to this and this and this. It's like, it's just done. Like, peace of mind, we'll sort it out. There are some exceptions, and that is really around travel and around learning additional songs and things from my side of stuff. But I kind of wanted to look at that, and just it made me think, like, where am I truly in integrity for myself? And I hope this is what you get out of this podcast, but where am I truly doing the things that are really me, that are like 100%, this is my values and this is what feels good, and yes, I'm providing a service, but I want to honor and have that flavor through the whole relationship, not suddenly be like, hey, if you add on these extra things, and you know what I mean, like, just to try and somehow get more money or get more sales and that sort of thing. Very different vibe. And I had a look through, my website's changing anyway, as I set some different goals this year. If you've listened to the podcast from the start, you will know. But that means the focus on my website needs to change. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to manage bookings and things like that currently. But what I've been looking at through this is like, okay, if that's the fundamental package when you book David Shanhun for an event, for a show, it's like, yep, you need gear, you need, suddenly there's like, can we have another speaker over there? Sure, no worries, it's done. Like, I was like, is there anything that sticks out that it's like, oh, actually, it doesn't, from a customer experience, it's like, oh, actually, that will be additional. Have I explained that there is a travel fee outside of Auckland, like, and accommodation if required, so that it's not a surprise? Have I explained that, look, I take a deposit for something to be booked in, there will be a deposit that's made. If that's not happened, it's not actually booked in. Like, I don't have it confirmed in my diary for you, sort of thing. Some of those things of just like mapping out what the agreement is, and I feel like it's honoring it from both sides, right? Like, and this goes into payment and off into all sorts of other tangents, essentially. But like, I'm going to show up on time, on the day, doing what we agreed in terms of music and timing and playing and gear and setup. I expect the same with payments and that sort of thing as well, which I find an interesting one, because we won't go too far into this, but it's like, essentially, I'm like, I'm going to do the things I said I was going to do, and I want that relationship along the way to feel good, like, to feel like, man, cool, this is what I signed up for in terms of my music experience. And maybe to give you another perspective on this, I only work with really there's only one agency that I recommend around Auckland. And I work with two. But the only reason they're the only agency I recommend is because they solve things, are just hassle-free from the artist and the client or the customer. They just handle it. They make life easier for me, and they handle the work and requests that a client needs to know and understand from booking a music artist. But again, I'm going slightly off tangents here, but it's like, what is there anywhere that I'm making things difficult, or that I'm like just going after like a sale or something like that, rather than really honoring someone? Because what I've found, and maybe this gets to the heart of what this podcast is about for me and why I've been like hanging out to share it, is I've found that I will end up making more money if I honor my agreements, if I work well if I'm in integrity, but I'm talking about integrity with myself. So I need to feel good about the interactions. I need to feel good about the price I've charged for the service I'm offering. I need to feel good about also being able to say, like, sometimes this is not a fit. This is, what you're asking is not really suited to me. And having those conversations to say, hey, this is what I do and I'm good at, and I'm comfortable doing that if that's what you want. But what you're now asking is not really a match for what I provide. And just so that things stay, I guess having those awkward conversations if need be as well. But coming back to a brand audit, it's like when you look at your website or you look at how those interactions go, it's like, is your essence consistent through there? Like, whatever that is for you. You may have different values than I do. So it's important that each part feels good for you. When someone contacts you to say, hey, I'd like to book you for this, what's the process? Do you just reply and say, yep, it's $800, whatever it is? I don't know. Do they know? I guess what I'm getting at is, like, can you look at this process from a customer's experience and be like, cool, that felt good, but it felt good because the person matched what they said along the way. They said they were going to play for 3 hours. They played for 3 hours, or whatever it is. They said no worries to do some party stuff and get people up dancing. They had the ability to do that. Or they said, look, I'm not really a party band. Happy to play some tunes in the afternoon, but if you really want dancing and that sort of thing, you may need to book someone else, if that makes sense. Or have you just lied essentially and gone, to be honest, we want the sale, we want the money. Yes, we'll have fun. It will kind of help you if you do the work, but we're going to bend our rules a bit here to make it work. Is the essence of this. And one thing I want to say about agencies, I got asked a while back, and again, it's an agency I don't work with, but I got asked, are you available for this gig? It's a duo gig. I was like, yeah, cool, I am, no worries. Then it's like, you would have to say that you are another act's name, like when you turn up. I'm like, no way. Like, if that act can't make it, I can do the gig, and yep, it's a good fit, happy to do it. You'll need to let the customer know that it's absolutely not the act turning up. Like, for whatever reason they can't make it, or who knows, but like, some of those things, and again, people live their lives in different ways. All of us have different values. Some people would be more than happy with that. For me, it's just a conversation that needed to happen, and so it's like, okay, no, then I'm out. If you're not willing to say that actually it's two different humans turning up that are a different act, who are also great, but not who you booked, then for me, I'm like, that's beyond my integrity to go ahead with. So anyway, I hope, as always, that there's some insight, some benefit, some wisdom, some food for thought in this for you. I hope that maybe you can look at your website and be like, you know what? Maybe it's just as simple as going, that picture doesn't represent me now. That image, that when I look at the website, that's not really, maybe it's just old and it needs updating, and you've got a better quality act now than what your website shows. That might be like, oh, this is out of integrity for yourself. That might be where it's at. But anyway, you will know you will be able to look through, and as I've been talking, as you've been listening, if something popped up for you, that's the thing. That's the easiest way I look at it. When I study or work with different people, that's the thing that I'm like, if something's like, oh, it's popped into mind, there's like a charge to it, there's a bit of energy on it, I'm like, okay, that's the thing that I need to change or consider or spend some time on. So whatever that is for you, amazing. If it's nothing, also amazing. Carry on. Enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this little chat between us. So happy Monday. I will see you again next week, and thanks for tuning in.